Good afternoon, everybody. We are live from Durham, North Carolina and Texas. And right? You're in Texas, right?
Yes, I am
All
in
right.
Texas. Yep.
And it is Stacy, my support specialist from the McDougall Program, and she's here today to answer whatever questions you might have. I think you might notice that somebody is missing. She is doing some work in the other room and may give us little peanut gallery comments here and there. Or she may even join in on the comments online. I don't know. But it's me and Stacy, and we're going to take care of it. And for those of you who are not familiar with Stacy, I'm going to go ahead and let Stacy introduce herself to you.
Well, hello, everybody. Good to be back with you. Feels like it's been a while. Life
Yeah.
has been so busy for us here, so it feels like even longer than it probably has been since I've been here. But my name is Stacy Cross. Yes, I live in Texas, and I am a support specialist for the McDougall Program. I do a lot of other things for the McDougall Program too, but my the bulk of my work is working one-on-one with patients who come through our 12-day online program, kind of holding their hand as they go through the program, those 12 consecutive days that we put them through a ton of lectures and cooking demonstrations and exercise instruction and all kinds of other wonderful things that we do in the 12-day program. And then once they've graduated from the 12-day program, I continue to follow up with my patients for a year following graduation so that as they are really adopting their new lifestyle, which is, the McDougall way of eating, that as things come up in that first year, life events, the first wedding, the first funeral, the first time you get sick, the first time you lose your job, the first time you go on vacation, all of these things are events in our lives that take place that oftentimes will just throw us off the track of healthy living and off of the lifestyle track. And so the idea is that because you have a support specialist through the McDougall program, you have someone who can help you recover quickly and plan ahead and troubleshoot and do all of those very important things to keep you on the straight and narrow and keep you returning back to the lifestyle and figuring out how to live it truly for the rest of your life. So that's what I do. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot. And I'm happy to be here with you guys today. I would love for any of you to ask questions so that we can steer the conversation in the direction that you guys are hoping to go today.
Yeah, and if you just in the comments, if you'll just put like maybe a question mark in before you start typing, that way I'll know for sure that it's a question for Stacy that we can get to. Looks like we got quite a few people on today. Vegan Knowledge JJ is here, and Red Lentil, Yellow Lentil is here. Adriana Pilanita, I'm probably not saying your name right, Adriana, and I apologize, is here from California. Beth is here, TS is here, Mona's here, Pretty Girl's mom is here, Serenity Blooms, Susan Winslow. Wow, lots of people here today. Lisa, Trinity, Tanya's here, Kathy Sabah's here. Kathy was in our cohort, I believe. Let's see. Jamie Reese. Jamie does have a question. Jamie's question is, can you give us an update on Mary? How is Mary doing?
Sure. Yeah, Mary's doing great, really well. She, of course, misses Dr. McDougall terribly and all of that, but she's doing very well. A lot of people ask, is she going to return to, make appearances and do interviews and all the stuff that she did alongside John when he was alive? And the answer is probably not. It's really not her thing at all. It never has been. I think that she did it alongside Dr. McDougall. They did, interviews and appearances and things as partners. And she certainly, my goodness, her contribution has been tremendous. All of the recipes, virtually all of the recipes on our website which, by the way, there are thousands of them, have been written and perfected by Mary herself. And so she has been a tremendous source of inspiration and ongoing support to the program. But she's sort of a behind the scenes kind of gal, and so she probably will not return in that capacity, in that role. But we always are sending her all of your well wishes, and she's doing very well. She lives very close to some family of hers. Her son, Craig, and his family live very nearby, and she gets to see her grandkids every single week. And the McDougall family is very close and very involved in one another's lives. And so she's being well taken care of and is doing very well. So thank you for asking.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And she, speaking of all the recipes she's done and everything, I have a little app on my phone that's McDougall recipes. Can anybody get that app?
Anybody can get it. So you just need to go to the App Store and type in, I think, just McDougall. And it's a one-time cost. It's a $4.95, I believe, $4.95 app.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have it forever. And it has all of the recipes. And it's great because you can make a shopping list off of it. And you've got it right there with you. I don't have it myself because I just don't hardly ever make recipes, for one thing. And when I do, I just get them from the website and just make my little shopping list and everything. But everybody keeps telling me, no, Stacy, you have to get the app. Get the app. And I don't know why I haven't, but it's so many people that love it.
It's cool. And I don't know if you guys can see this because the light is going to be crazy, but maybe if I put it back at this angle a little bit. Can you see that at all?
A little, yeah.
A little bit. It's just an app on your phone, and then it has categories, and you can like click on dips and spreads, and then it tells you all these different things, and you can just pick on that, and it'll go right to a recipe, and in that recipe, it tells you all the ingredients that you need and everything, and it tells you who it's by. The one that I particularly picked up is actually by Tiffany. You guys see Tiffany on, she was just on here last week, so I got this right away when we joined the McDougall thing, and for $4.95 for you have it forever, that's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. So go to the App Store, type in McDougall. The app symbol is just a big M, white with green around it, and it's a no-brainer. Just get it because it's got all sorts of stuff in there. Let's see. I thought we had another question. Beth F. says, for those of us with weight loss goals who have been dieting for a lifetime, having a year of support while letting go of tons of diet mentality baggage, that was priceless for me. Yeah, and it's really helpful. And there were a lot of times where, I had to reach out to Stacy during that time because I was just, oh my gosh, I did this. How bad did I mess up kind of thing, and it just having somebody there to go, you didn't mess up. It's okay to have those 2 bowls of oatmeal. If you're hungry, eat them, so, and getting rid of that diet mentality is because you're like, oh my God, I just ate a second bowl of oatmeal. And in your brain, you have all these bells and whistles going off telling you, you just did a really, really, really bad thing. But then when you can just, look at Stacy and go, I ate 2 bowls of oatmeal, and Stacy goes, that's great.
Yeah. So what? Big whoop.
So, and it's just comforting, right? It's just nice to have. And it's like, it's just, and right now, a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff, right? We talked last week about, there were a lot of people with a lot of anxiety and things like that. And how do we deal with that anxiety? And a lot of people kind of got off track, I think, over the past week. Maybe the week leading up to it or weeks leading up to it with all the buzz and the vibrations around you. And then now, after the election, there's still some anxiety. There's still some stress. And a lot of people last week had a really hard time like doing the right thing for themselves, even though that they knew in their hearts what they needed to do, even though they knew, hey, I know what's happening. I know why this is happening, but it still happened. How do we how do we get back on track after that? You got any tips for us, Stacy, on how we can get back on track?
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is such a big question, and hopefully, this will begin a conversation that we're going to have about this. But um, wow, okay, yes, it's been a tough time, especially in our country. It has been a tough couple of weeks. For it doesn't matter what side you're on, it has been tough, and yeah, getting off track is just part of the journey, you guys. You know, I think a lot of people that I speak to, at least, even though they wouldn't necessarily say this out loud, you begin to realize that they have an expectation that they're going to turn over a new leaf, they're going to begin a new lifestyle, and then that will be a marked point in their lives where, you know, everything else was before. And now I'm on this new lifestyle forever, and that's it from now on. And the truth is, part of your lifestyle is bumps in the road, unexpected tragedies and traumas, and you know, all kinds of things that come along and cause us to stumble off the road. Um, and so I have a couple thoughts on it. One is that your expectation should be that these things do happen. Because if your expectation is a perfect journey and then you fall down, what do you do? How do you recover from believing that your only option is perfection or nothing? You know, if you begin to change your mindset to expect that bumps in the road and failures and falling down is part of it, then you can very quickly recover, because your expectation is, I'm an imperfect human being trying to live a lifestyle that is very challenging, that the world is not set up to support. The world around me, the environment around me is not supportive of. And so I'm going to have bad days. I may even have bad weeks. I may even have bad months. Although I will say, if you don't have a perfectionist mentality, it's much easier to recover more quickly, because you just sort of go, instead of going, oh my gosh, I failed, and treating it like this catastrophic event, you treat it like, whoops, fell off, better get back on ASAP. And then you do. And that's the other thing that I wanted to say about this, is that I think I've shared with you guys before this, you know, I was overweight my entire life. I used to say adult life, but no, it's back. It started when I was 15 or 16 years old, when I first started, you know, becoming overweight. So it's been many, many years that I've battled my weight. And I was a former Weight Watcher, and I did Weight Watchers actually several times. And depending on how you looked at it, I did it successfully several times, got down into, you know, goal weight range, although that weight was still substantially higher than my body needs to be. But when I was on Weight Watchers, what would happen is I would fall off the diet, fall off the wagon, and then I would not know how to recover, literally, because I had blown all my points for the week or the day or whatever it was. And so then I was like, okay, do I not eat at all? Do I eat 0 point foods only, which is basically like vegetables? Do I just start all over? And if I do, how many points do I get? You know, and so it was always this big, massive thing to get back on track. Like, it was this big deal that I could never figure out. But with this lifestyle, since we don't weigh or measure our food or count calories or count macros or micros or any of that, or limit ourselves by anything other than our hunger drive, then getting back on track is literally simply choosing rightly the next meal that you have, the very next meal. And so then the issue becomes overcoming the mindset of, I failed, so I might as well throw the towel in and just forget about the whole day. That's got to change. And I say that as someone who's coming from that mindset. You know, it's so natural. I don't know why we have that tendency to throw the towel in completely when we stumble and fall. But it's counterproductive, of course, because all those calories that you take in then still count and still, you know, negatively affect your weight loss. So anyway, all of that to say, forgive yourself let it go. You know, any missteps that you may have encountered over the past couple of weeks, all the ways that you leaned into food in a state of emotional distress, it's okay. However, what the thing that I always say is, if you're gonna make a big mistake, you're gonna make mistakes on this journey, never leave that experience without the lesson, because then it's sort of wasted, you know.
Right.
Whereas if you make a mistake but you have a lesson to put a new tool to put in your tool belt
Mm-hmm.
for your future success, then that mistake is actually a blessing in disguise. It's a
Mm-hmm.
gift because it makes you stronger for the next time. So I would encourage you all, start fresh today. Why not? Tuesday, November 12th. We've had a week since the election. 1 week. Did we get our just upset out of our system? You know, there will be residual upset probably for many of us. Many people out there are not going to be super happy just because it's been a week. But collect yourself, recognize that there are very few things going on in the world that we actually have control of, but one of them is what we put in our mouth, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that sense of control that you can reclaim today will make you feel better about all the other stuff that is not within your control. So even though it feels like, oh, I just want to eat candy bars all day because I'm just so upset, we know that the truth is, at the end of the day, the thing that's going to make you feel better is taking good care of yourself despite whatever the circumstances around you are.
Exactly, exactly. And so basically, Stacy, what you're saying is, if you had that bagel and cream cheese this morning for lunch, you can do better.
Yeah, but a bagel and cream cheese is not bad. So it's
Well,
all relative, isn't it?
yeah.
It's
Well,
all relative.
for me, the bread has always been kind of like an issue for me. So for me,
Yeah.
having a bagel is like it's the slippery slope. So I try to stay away. I try to, but and for lunch, I can make a better choice. For lunch, I can go get some sweet potatoes out. I can have leftovers from last night. We had our first seed Indian foods for dinner last night. We have some leftovers for that. I can pull that out, and my next meal can just be better, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions today, Stace. And Stacy,
Yay, let's do
and
it.
and we do need to kind of keep Stacy on schedule today, so I'm going to kind of rip through these. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Jamie
Let's do it.
asks, Jamie asks, can you talk about carbs spiking your insulin levels, and aren't carbs sugar?
Oh, okay. Insulin levels. I wonder if she means blood glucose
Yeah,
levels, because
yeah,
we're
she
not
does.
measuring our insulin levels
Yeah.
regularly at all. So I think, Jamie, I think what you're talking about is blood glucose. And your blood glucose levels going up in response to carbs is exactly the way that your body is designed to work. It is exactly what you're supposed to run in is carbohydrates, glucose. Glucose is your body's natural preferred fuel source. Okay. So the whole point of eating, everybody lean in and listen. The whole point of eating is to spike your blood glucose. Right? Okay. So that's very important because you will see all kinds of people on the internet and out there in the world right now talking about minimizing your blood glucose. Like let's keep it as low as possible at all times. How do we do that? Well, let's eat things that have no glucose, like spare ribs and eggs and cheese, and well, cheese may have glucose. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that is not what we should be trying to do. We should be trying to give our body its natural preferred fuel source so that we can function at our optimal level, and that is glucose. Carbohydrates are not sugar. Carbohydrates are made of glucose, and glucose is your blood sugar, right?
Mhm.
That's energy. So instead of calling it sugar, it makes way more sense to call it energy, okay? And all carbs are not created equal. So what happens to your body when you eat a donut is different from what happens to your body when you eat a sweet potato. that donut is devoid of most all vitamins and nutrients and minerals, most all fiber, and is incredibly high in highly processed fat and sugar. Okay. And so when you see a blood glucose spike after eating a donut, that's because there's nothing to that donut. It's basically immediately accessible energy. Your body doesn't have to do anything to get to the sugar in that donut to use it as fuel and as energy, which is also why sometimes when we eat sugary foods, we do feel a immediate spike in energy. And we feel kind of good, right? Mm-hmm. Part of that is dopamine too, but the sugar itself can kind of boost and lift us. Usually followed by what people call a sugar crash. And that's because all of the sugar in that donut, let's say a donut has 45 grams of sugar. I honestly have no idea because I don't count any of this stuff. But let's say it has 45 grams of sugar. That entire 45 grams of sugar is immediately accessible and usable by your body. And so your body burns right through it, right? That glucose. And so it spikes, your body burns right through it, and then it plummets. Whereas when we're talking about complex carbohydrates, whole natural plant foods like potatoes, beans, rice, corn, quinoa, barley, even whole grain pastas, whole grain bread as opposed to white bread, those things have vitamins, nutrients, fiber being the primary nutrient that slows the blood glucose process. So your body has to digest it and break it down to access fully the glucose in that food. And so your glucose spike is more like a very subtle, gentle up ramp, right? And then it goes up, and then your body burns it and uses it. And so it goes down. That keeps you from having those noticeable energy spikes and then crashes. So that's what that is. Carbohydrates are perfect fuel sources for your body as long as you're choosing the right kind, which is whole, natural plant foods and as close to their natural form as possible. Minimally processed whole plant foods.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that detailed explanation. And I hope that helped everybody kind of understand better that whole using the energy thing. And SFOS says, Stacy, you are such a wonderful support specialist. Who is your support on this journey?
Wow. I have never had anyone ask me that before. Well, I'll tell you who it is. It's Dr. Lim, Jeff Novick, Doug Lyle, Jack Dixon. My goodness, you guys, if you had any idea how amazing Jack Dixon is, you would just die.
Yeah.
Tiffany, Heather, Corey, who works kind of in the background. So some of you guys don't know her. She used to be a support specialist, but our team is my support, and they're wonderful. And to be completely honest, my patients provide me a lot of support because we're talking about these things all day. And I know that they see me in this position of, that I'm the expert and they're the novice and all this stuff. But really, it's like iron sharpening iron. We're all trying to live this lifestyle together. I get ideas and inspiration from them all the time, especially my weight loss discussion group that I lead. So that's something that's available to alumni of the program. We do a weight loss discussion group weekly, and that group is just so wise and amazing. And so I just get a ton of support just being in my role and doing what I do. But to be honest, when I sign off at the end of the day, I just eat this way. I just do it. So I get all that good support just by way of what I do, and then I do it. I find that the doing is really where the rubber hits the road, right? So often we think what we need more coaching, we need more, more knowledge, we need to understand it better, we need to, but at the end of the day, if you're not going in there and steaming the baked potato and eating that and choosing that, then the work isn't done. And so that's what I do. As soon as I'm not at work, I'm living work, really living the lifestyle. Thanks for
Practicing what
asking,
you
though. That's a
preach.
really sweet question. Yes,
All right.
definitely.
TS has a question regarding potatoes and sweet potatoes. Does storing them in the refrigerator before cooking change the nutritional value? My potatoes turn green no matter how I store them.
Her potatoes turn green no matter how she stores them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's not good. Okay, green potatoes are not something that we want to eat. That when they turn green, that indicates that they, and I'm not going to be great at explaining this, but it's a chemical enzyme
Mm-hmm.
action that happens in the breakdown of the potato, and it produces some enzyme or something that actually can be toxic to us, so it can make you sick. Like it can make you
Mm-hmm.
either feel nauseous, or you could even get like vomiting and diarrhea, that kind of thing. So you should avoid eating green potatoes.
Definitely.
Also, if your potatoes always turn green, I would find a different potato source, to be totally honest with you, because it
Mm.
sounds like your potatoes are old by
Yeah.
the time they get to you. In addition to that, I had to do this myself, where I don't buy potatoes unless I'm ready to cook them like that day or the next day. Because once they're cooked, I find that they last longer. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, if I'm just letting them hang around my kitchen or in the pantry or in the fridge or whatever, they don't last very long.
Yeah, we actually keep potatoes in this cabinet down here because it's nice, dark and cool in there. And do they still get green in eyes? But that's because we let them
Yeah.
sit in there a long time sometimes, though, too, right? Yeah. Kathy says. Kathy says the weather can make a huge difference
Oh, for
where
sure.
you're
Yes.
at,
Moisture, heat. Yep.
and she does say it just depends where we got them at, right? How quickly they go to green and eyes and stuff on them. So we try to go through
Yeah.
them, but there's always some that we always end up having to throw some out. But of
Yeah.
course, you have to remember that we buy stuff like in bulk that with the two of us we probably don't need to buy in bulk, but we do just because it's a better deal. So
Right. One other suggestion I have about the potato thing, especially if you're someone who lives alone or you're the only person who eats them in your house, do not be afraid of frozen potatoes, canned potatoes, which blew my mind. I didn't even know they existed. My stepmom got some for me, and she loves them, and she's like, "Stacey, you're gonna love these." I was like, "Canned potatoes, whatever." She's absolutely right. They're very good.
are those the
They
peeled ones that they're peeled
Yes,
and already
yeah.
like little potatoes? Yeah,
Yes,
those
and
are
I don't
good.
want them all the time, but I
Right.
like to have them as a convenience item, and they're
Mm-hmm.
sort of, to me, they're like very different from
Mm.
fresh potatoes and frozen
Yeah.
potatoes. And so, they're just a nice another little variety to have.
Right.
But my favorite, I'm not sure if I've gone off about these yet here on this show, is instant potatoes. I'm
Mm.
crazy about instant potatoes. I
I love
love them.
instant potatoes.
I know, and they're so convenient and they're shelf stable and all of that stuff. So if you're having a hard time, like really hitting the bullseye in terms of when you buy your potatoes before they spoil and that kind of thing, just give yourself a break and just buy instant potatoes and like
Mm-hmm.
frozen hash browns and things like that. Of course, you want to always look for non-oil varieties of those
Mm-hmm.
things. And in terms of the instant potatoes, you want to make sure they also don't have like uh, cheese or cream or anything added to them. So there are a few different. There are certainly several brands that have instant potatoes that don't have any animal products or oil added to them, but you always turn over the package and look on the ingredients list to make
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Isn't it like Bob's Red Mill that has the package that, like, if you look at the ingredients, it just basically just says dehydrated potatoes or something
Yes.
like that? Yeah.
Yep, there's Bob's Red Mill. The place that I buy mine, I buy them in bulk, and I buy them organic. It's a personal choice. You do not have to get organic ones, but I find that these ones that I buy online are actually less expensive, even organic, than what I can buy on the shelf. And certainly Bob's around here. The Bob's instant potato flakes are so expensive
Yeah.
around here. And so I buy from Country Life Natural Foods. And by the way, like, I don't have it. It's like laughable to me. I don't have sponsors, guys. I don't get paid money to say brands or anything like that. It makes me laugh to even think that I would ever have that. But I'm just telling you, full disclosure, no one is paying me or even asking me to say these brands. These are just the ones that I personally use. So Country Life Foods has an organic instant potato. I buy, like, I think it's like a 4-pound bag. It's huge.
Oh,
And
wow.
it comes and my husband's like, what? And I'm like, trust me,
Because
it's
I'm like
great.
thinking flakes. You got a 4-pound bag of flakes. That's a giant bag, right?
It's like I have a baby when I carry it around. It's like a newborn baby. It's fantastic. And then the other place, if you guys have Azure Standard, it's Azure Azure Standard. It's sort of like a co-op or like a CSA type of thing. If you have a drop near your house, they have lots of good stuff, including instant potatoes, organic potatoes. And I love both of them. So I order from those places. But I've also been able to find them at Walmart, instant potatoes that are nothing but potatoes. I've been able to find them at my regular grocery store. Even Idahoan, I believe, has a variety that
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
have any animal products or oils added to it. So just kind of go out there and see what you have around you and look at some of these online sources. But I love instant potatoes. Now, let me say one more thing about instant potatoes before I move on, since they're my current passion. A lot of people say, instant potatoes, those are fake potatoes. They are not fake potatoes. It is no different from any other dried out thing, like your dried spices. It's just dried potatoes. That's all it is. They're just dehydrated, and you rehydrate them with water. People always ask, like, oh, do you cook them with milk? Nope. I just do water, just water. Sometimes I top them with salt and pepper. I mean, sometimes I don't though. For me, they're just filler. When
Yeah.
I'm hungry, they're an easy go-to that I can quickly get full off of.
Oh, Kathy makes the best like mashed potatoes. But if she's not here and I'm like craving like mashed potatoes or something, we have a bag of that Bob's Red Mill, and I'll make those in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't even think twice about it. They're good.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Trinity has a question. Can you talk about the mindset and being enough when you are not seeing results as fast as you want to, especially when you are trying to lose that last 10 to 15 pounds?
Oh, Trinity, bless your little heart. Yes, I'm quite familiar with the struggle. So, yes, so mindset, massively important, especially when it comes to those last few pounds. They eke off, and it's very hard. And it's also very hard to keep a healthy mindset. You start thinking things like, well, maybe I just shouldn't eat for a couple of days, or maybe I should eat only vegetables for a week. And you start reverting back to crash diet mentality is what that is. And you've got to reject and absolutely deny that as a possibility, because fasting fasting, even though there may be some health benefits to it, fasting for weight loss never, ever, ever works in the long run, because your body is no fool. If you undereat, your body responds by increasing your appetite once food does become available again, because your body loves to be in homeostasis and wants to be balanced and wants to be right. It will not let you starve to death, basically, is what it comes down to. And so it's not a good approach. So here's what I would say. Your mindset needs to shift from being goal oriented. So your goal being, like, say you want to weigh, for example, 130 pounds. I want to weigh 130 pounds. Instead of focusing on 130 pounds and thinking that success looks like weighing 130 pounds and failure looks like not being there yet, your goal mindset needs to shift to a process minded mindset. So what that looks like is every day I focus my energy and attention on eating fruits, vegetables, and water-rich cooked starches. Those are my foods. That's what I eat. I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm comfortably full. And it's about how often I choose to do that. The more often I choose to do that, the sooner I will make it to whatever my ultimate weight loss goals are. But in the meantime, success is following my plan. And so you have the opportunity to have success 3, 4, 5 times a day, every day, and you celebrate just following the plan. When I was in my weight loss journey, I had an acronym that I always wrote. Literally wrote this in my calendar. My weight loss people know about this. They already know what I'm about to put up here. I wrote it in my calendar every single day. JFTP, question mark. And then at the end of the day, I'd get one of these. So what that means is, did I just follow the plan? I did. Yay. Check mark. Okay? That was it. It didn't matter what I weighed. It didn't matter what the scale said. It didn't matter, did I get my workout in? Did I blah, 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 or any other thing? Did I just follow the plan? What plan? Well, you have to be specific and you have to know what your plan is. That's incredibly vitally important. But if you know what your plan is, and for me, that was fruits, vegetables, and water-rich cooked starches. If I just followed the plan, that was enough. And that made me proud and it made me happy. And it kept me happy on the journey because I wasn't always looking all the way down the road. I wasn't always looking way out there to 130 pounds. I was looking at, am I doing the things that I need to do today to move me closer to that? And if I did, I celebrated that. And that was my mark of success, was being process-minded as opposed to goal-minded.
Oh, that's fascinating. I would never thought to look at it that way. And that you can actually apply that in a lot of different things, not just this situation.
Sure.
And that's fantastic. I love that. All right. TS says, any suggestions for when you have a starch you enjoy, but seem to want to grab a bag of chips or sweets? The great starch does not seem to fill the spot. Any ideas? I know what you would tell me.
What? Tell me. What do you think it is, Cheryl?
That I'm not eating enough of that starch.
Yeah. So that is often, you're brilliant.
No, you are. You taught me that. You taught me that.
So great. I love it. All right. So oftentimes, if you finish your meal and you're still feeling like this, and everybody knows exactly what I mean when I do this, I'm still hungry, right? That's because you haven't eaten enough starch. Mm-hmm. You're not full enough. Comfortably full means I'm not like busting. I'm not like unbuttoning my pants and like laying back on the couch like, oh, goodness gracious, I ate way too much. That is not comfortable, right? But on the flip side, discomfort can also look like this. Oh, I'm still thinking about food. Comfortably full means I'm good. I had a nice meal. I feel comfortably full and I can move on both physically and mentally with my life on to the next task. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's one piece. The second piece, though, that I feel like I hear in this question of hers is that if you're having, really, these are cravings is what they are. If you're having cravings for chips or like sweets and things like that, it's because those are pleasure trap items that we all are susceptible to. The pleasure trap is something, it's not something over there and I'm either in it or I'm not. We are all in it at all times. How susceptible we are to the draw of the foods in the pleasure trap changes, ebbs and flows. But the pleasure trap foods really are those highly palatable, high salt, high sugar, high fat foods. And so if you're like, ooh, I want chips because you want that salt, or I want cookies because you want the sweet, it's because it's been too recently that you've been giving your body that. And your body's like, we didn't forget about the cookies. We know the chips are right in there. And
Right.
so in that case, I say this all the time, put it on my tombstone, the only way out is through, which means you have to get through those uncomfortable days of telling yourself no repeatedly. Nope, you're not having chips. Nope, you're not having cookies. It can be painful and rough and hard. But if you string days together of saying no consistently to those things, you will literally begin to forget about the pull of them. But you can't begin the process of forgetting and healing and not having those cravings unless you go through essentially what feels like a withdrawal period of telling yourself no and sticking to it.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm looking back through to see if we have any more questions. We got lots of chatty chat happening, and I love to see all the chatty
Good.
chat and people saying good morning to people and hello. And some people just kind of giving some comments. SFOS says to TS, make a batch of Kathy's barbecue powder and put it on your potatoes. I had some on a large bowl of potato soup for lunch today, and it was like a bowl of barbecue potato chip soup. Actually, that
Love
sounds
it.
delicious. That sounds
It's a
so
great
good.
suggestion. Mhm.
And Kathy, that's on the website?
No, but if they sign up for the newsletter, it's in the 4 spice blends that they get.
Okay, Kathy says it is not on the website, but however, if you go and look in the show notes to where you can sign up for Kathy's newsletter, and it says that you'll get some spice blends, it is one of the spice blends that you get sent out when you sign up for the newsletter. And if you just can't find it, email support@healthyslowcooking.com and I will be happy to give that to you. Let's see what else we have going on. Tanya says, I buy my potatoes at Costco and I feel like lately they don't last as long. And everybody's kind of, on the same thing. Pretty Girl's mom says potatoes do not like the sun on them. Yep.
Yeah.
And Beth says, living the McDougall life with the support from Tiffany, who was her support specialist, has really helped me get past that. And I still sometimes make mistakes with food choices, but it rarely turns into an eat everything that isn't nailed down anymore.
Good.
Yeah. Let's see. And Tanya says, do you freeze potatoes raw or cooked? That might be more of a Kathy question.
Yeah, you can do either. From what I understand, I've only frozen the Japanese sweet potatoes. I freeze them uncooked, raw. I just throw them into my freezer, and that has worked out well for me. So I think it depends on what kind of potato it is.
And Jeremy has a question. He and I are in the same boat with this, and we go to the same social boats. So and how do you balance being social and weight loss? It's the classic mental health versus diet situation. Any tips for us on that? I know we've been, going past our 90 to 95%, but when we were doing our 90 to 95%, just picking that 1 or 2 days to be social and do stuff, we were doing much better than like when we do the every other day social thing. Like it gets kind of hard. So any tips you have for us on that?
Yes. Well, there's lots of different ways that you can have better results doing that. Number one is that minimize the number of times that you have to go out to eat or go out for drinks. Anything like that. You just want to minimize it. So make it a special, truly special occasion. So I would say I go out to eat on average once a week. And when I do, I am an advocate for myself. I stand up and ask for restaurants that I know have options that will make me feel good and are either totally McDougall compliant or very darn close to it. Okay, I'm not going to McDonald's ever. You're never gonna be like, let's meet at McDonald's, because I'm not
right
there. It's not happening. There's nothing for me to eat there. So I stand up for myself. I know that is easier said than done for a lot of people. And if that's not your way, then this other suggestion that I have is probably the direction you'll have to take it, which is you eat before you go,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that you can eat afterwards, or you bring something with you.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all options. The other big one is that I have started also advocating for myself by asking to do alternative activities, like let's meet for coffee, let's meet for tea, let's go to we'll meet up. My one of my best friends from college and I just did this the other day. We met at this place. It's called Central Market here, and it's basically a grocery store, but they also have like a little restaurant, a cafe in the place. So basically you can get anything, you can get from super healthy to not healthy at all. And so we went there and it was wonderful. And I just had steel cut oats and berries because we met for breakfast. And, there are options. There are options out there, places you can meet people that do have good compliant foods. The question you need to be asking yourself is, how much do I want this? And that is not meant in any way to be like, condescending or, accusatory in any way. But when it really comes down to it, when it comes to going out and being social and going to restaurants and stuff, and what you choose when you're there, your actual will, like at the end of the day, really shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really want this and you really want a healthy lifestyle where you are always choosing healthy options, the healthiest option available to you, you can do it. It's not impossible. You could even do it if you had to go out 4 times a week. It is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you don't want that, right? Sometimes
Right.
you do want the enchiladas, the smothered and covered enchiladas or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think knowing yourself and knowing what you actually truly want at the end of the day, not just what you
Mm-hmm.
say you want, but what you really want, is very important. Because if when it comes down to it, if what you really want is smothered and covered enchiladas, you shouldn't be going to meet somebody from Mexican, right? You should be suggesting, let's go for a walk. Let's
Yeah.
go to a movie. Come over here and sit on my couch and we'll have tea and grapes. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, and like you were saying, like, if it's your goal to do this fast, then you want to, be tougher. But if, like every time that we make a decision to do something, we still talk about things. And I always have to say in my head, whenever I go to like if I want something that's off plan or has some oil in it or whatever, I always say to myself, am I okay that this just makes things slow? And I have to be okay with that, right? And I've been kind of on the slow train and I'm okay with that. But there may be a time in the next few months because, we're going to be going on that holistic vegan cruise thing, that I may want to step it up in high gear a little bit so I can be hanging out on some decks in my bathing suit kind of thing. So, you have to make that decision for yourself when you do it. And other people really can't make that decision for you, though sometimes they can help you kind of like nudge you a little bit. But, for the most part, you need to make that decision.
Right. And there may be times, like periods of time, where you can do this fast, meaning you can put your nose to the grindstone and really crank out some great days of excellent eating, for sure. But I want to share with you guys a quote. It's a phrase. It's actually from the Navy SEALs and Special Forces units, their training mantras. My husband taught me this, and it's really good. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. So the idea behind this phrase is that the important thing is taking your time to be accurate, consistent, and controlled. So not being in a huge hurry to lose weight. When we're in a huge hurry to lose weight, we make mistakes. We restrict, we overconsume foods that are not going to fill us. It's just messy. Fast is messy. It's just messy, and you're doing things that you can't sustain or do long term, when you're trying to just do it as fast as you can. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. It's the classic tortoise and the hare situation. You know, the tortoise starts out and he's just moving. It's so slow. Everyone's looking, going, this guy's never going to win. The hare is fast right out of the gate, but he's getting distracted. He's, he's assuming he's going to win. So he's stopping to chat with people and he's trying different things and he's all over the place. And in the end, the tortoise wins because the tortoise just kept putting one foot in front of the other and moving in a straight line to his goal. So that's it. Slow is smooth. It's the smooth way. It emphasizes accuracy, consistency, and control over time. And smooth is fast. In the end, you will get there faster if you focus on that consistency.
Yep. That's a great analogy. I love that. So you got some more conversation about everybody in their green potatoes situation. Anti-Venom has a question. I heard that canned food doesn't have any healthy microbiome left. Is this true?
I do not know the answer to that question, but this actually brings me back to something else that someone else asked about refrigerating potatoes, and does that like cut down on their nutrition? Okay, when you eat a whole food plant-based diet, so everything you're eating is plants, we do not have to worry about losing nutrients because every single thing that you eat is chock full of nutrients at all times. You are constantly flooding your system with nutrients and antioxidants, vitamins and minerals and fiber. And so it's like, it's non-consequential if you catch my drift, because it doesn't matter. If you eat a canned food and it doesn't have something for your gut, well, guess what? Every other thing you ate today did. It all just evens out. It's nothing that I would worry about. Those little nitty gritty details, those types of things in the end are not the thing that win the day. What wins the day is building a lifestyle around eating whole plant foods. Also, another thing that people ask me about a lot is probiotics. They say, oh, well, should I be taking a probiotic? Like everybody's talking about probiotics. Should I do it? And there are natural sources and all this stuff. Dr. McDougall used to emphasize this a lot. Your entire diet is probiotic. Everything you eat feeds your healthy gut microbes. And so, no, there's no reason in normal circumstances for someone to take an additional probiotic. Now, having said that, if you have just taken antibiotics or there's something else going on that has been diagnosed by a doctor and that doctor has suggested probiotics for you, it may be appropriate for you in that situation. But as a general rule, no, people who eat the way that we eat do not need to be taking probiotics or worried so much about canned versus frozen versus fresh or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Beth F says, lots of laughs, Stacy. I do that on my habit tracker too, but mine is FMP for follow my plan.
Great.
I see. Beth also says that she will be making some mashed taters for dinner. So she's going to try freezing some. All right. Here we have a question from Mirren.
Okay, I saw a bunch. I actually saw several. I didn't have time to read them all, but I saw several questions come through with question marks a while back.
Thought we got those.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're down.
Yeah, I'm trusting you're getting them all.
We're down to, they're just having the discussion about the potatoes and stuff going on the side. Okay. And then some SFOS mentioned that no fasting for me either. It makes me too hangry. Let's see. I saw a question. It was right here from Mirren. And Mirren says, I have now been off processed food for 2 weeks, and now I've developed a cough and am sometimes coughing up phlegm. Is this detox my body is now going through? Thanks.
No, no, no. Most likely it's allergies. It's
Yeah.
the changing of the seasons. Or you could have a little bug, a little virus or something like that. But no, that shouldn't be happening. You're not. So detox is an interesting term that's thrown around out there in the world quite a lot in the world of nutrition. Please understand your liver is constantly detoxifying your body and it does a really good job doing it. And so most of the time when you make a small change like going off of processed foods or something, I realize that's a big change, but to your body it may not be so enormous of a change as you are thinking that it is, and your liver can handle that, and you don't have necessarily symptoms of detox. You wouldn't, increase phlegm because of that.
Yeah. And Mary says, Stacy Cross is so amazing in her role as a support specialist for the McDougall Program. Thank you so much from Canada.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
Let's see. And they're talking about a pizza made out of potato flakes, I think. I'm going to have to go back and read that. All right. TS says, any suggestions to actually eat slower? I am so used to just scarfing food, I don't think it even registers. I do use a smaller plate.
Well, the number one suggestion that's always thrown out there is just eating undistracted. So putting your phone away, turning off the TV, turning off the radio or whatever you normally have going in the background, not working at your desk while you're eating. Guilty.
Me too.
But aside from all of that, TS, honestly, I don't worry about the speed of my eating. A lot of people emphasize that as a strategy for, I guess, stopping sooner or something. I don't know. But I find that even if I eat very quickly, there does come a point where I register fullness and I stop eating, and I don't find that just because I ate quickly, I'm overeating. But that may just be because I've practiced it for so long. So if you're finding that I would say this, the only reason I think you need to worry about that is if you're finding that, whoops, you're totally stuffed at the end of your meal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if that's the case, then slowing down may not be the answer. The answer may be simply serving yourself a smaller portion and then stopping eating for at least 30 minutes, going on with your life, doing something different, and then revisiting in 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, am I still hungry? And if you are, go back and get some more food. But you may just have to put in a very intentional stopping point if you're struggling with ending up overeating because of the speed of your eating.
And Nanette asks, after I eat and feel satisfied, an hour later I feel hungry and wonder why, and then think maybe it's because not enough protein. And I know this is probably not a question that you can answer, so I just wanted to double check with you before I move on to the next one, because I know that's more
answer,
of a.
Yes.
Oh, can you? Okay, I didn't know if that was more
absolutely.
of a nutritionist kind of thing, but you do.
Oh,
you're a nurse, so of course you can.
Yeah, no, that's easy. So, no, I mean, okay, so in terms of protein, it may be that you need to increase your protein density, calorie density of your food to stay satisfied. So adding in some beans, it's not going to hurt you to experiment with that. Add in some beans or some lentils or some tofu or something like that and see if that sustains you longer. But also, it's okay to be hungry in an hour. I know people are like, what? It is okay, especially if you have a tiny little stomach and it can only get so full. But if you filled that up, let's say you filled it up with green beans and potatoes, we're talking about like 300 calories or less, probably for someone who has a small stomach. And so it makes sense that an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours later, even, you would be hungry again. Go ahead and eat again. See, this is where you need to make sure you're not mixing up our way of eating in our program with like every other diet out there that tells you like no eating between meals, or 4 hours between meals or whatever. We don't say any of that stuff because we know that the bulk of what we eat is so low in calorie density that it is likely you will need to eat more frequently.
Yeah.
Some people, I know I went through that, Cheryl, myself when I was on my weight loss journey. I went through that for a while where it felt like I could only be full for like a short period of time. And then as my body adjusted to this way of eating, now I fill up and I stay full for a longer period most days. And then there are still days that out of the blue, I'm way hungry. And so I eat every hour or whatever. But all I mean to say here is please don't be afraid of your hunger. If you feel hungry and you feel that it's true hunger in your stomach and everything, go ahead and eat some more food. That's fine. Doesn't matter if it's been 1 hour, 10 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes. Doesn't matter.
And Vi says, I used to be addicted to low-fat ice cream, and I replaced that with nice cream, and I have it daily. Is there anything wrong with eating healthy nice cream daily?
There's nothing wrong with it nutritionally speaking. It's fine to have. But if you are finding that you're trying to lose weight and your weight loss has stalled, meaning you're not losing any weight for a couple weeks in a row, at least like 3 weeks in a row, or you're gaining weight, the nice cream could be the culprit. And the reason for that is that it's very easy to overconsume calories when you're blending them. And when you're making an ice cream that has like 3 bananas, you got to remember that's still like essentially 300 calories of just bananas. So the calories, as much as we don't weigh and measure our food or count calories, calories do count. And so if you have to be in a calorie deficit of approximately 300 calories a day, meaning you take in 300 fewer calories than what you burn in order to lose weight, and then you eat a 300 plus calorie cream, it is possible you are completely knocking out your calorie deficit by having that nice cream. Also, examine why you're having the nice cream. Recreational eating is not something that we recommend. So if you're having the nice cream just because your taste buds want it, you probably need to kick that habit. That's not serving you well. But if you're eating the nice cream because you're hungry and it sounds good to you, that's a different thing. So dessert is a tricky, slippery little deal because it's not that you can't have desserts. It's that the concept of dessert, of just having something just for the sake of like tantalizing your taste buds, is really not how we should approach eating. And that doesn't mean you can never have dessert. It just means it should be infrequent. It shouldn't be a daily occurrence. And certainly if you're having trouble losing weight or you're stuck, if you're having dessert, even nice cream, that could be the culprit.
Yeah. And also when it comes to like the nice creams, there's a lot of different things that they're made out of. So like Stacy was saying, if it's something that's heavier on the bananas or something like that, it's something to consider, definitely. But yeah, and even we don't have like creamies on a daily basis. And the only time that we have creamies on a daily basis in this house is when Kathy's developing a book. And that's just because freezer space has to be made. And then most of the time, we call that our meal replacement plan because it's usually lunch or something like that. So
yeah. Hey, let me say one more thing about nice cream and the transition. First of all, the person who asked this question said that she transitioned away from low-fat ice cream, or he or she said that, and I want to applaud that. That is awesome. Progress is what we're after, not perfection, progress. And so just the fact that you've transitioned away from the low-fat ice cream and now you're doing ice cream, that makes me so happy. It makes me so super happy. I think I've shared here before that I grew up in a household where ice cream, full fat ice cream, was on the menu every single night.
Mm.
Every night of my childhood, we had ice cream after dinner, and not a little dish. It was a lot. In fact, I probably was overweight because of this one singular practice in my household, unfortunately. And I became like really addicted to dessert and having something sweet after dinner. And I'm just being honest about my experience, and that is it it wasn't a replacement for those things that set me free. It was just stopping the dessert, stopping needing something after dinner. It wasn't easy at first, and it took grit and it took determination, but I just stopped that habit. And I just want to say, on the other side of it, I feel so free. And it is wonderful to just not feel compelled to have dessert at night
Mm.
or after
Yeah.
meals. So I'm not saying you have to do it the way I did it, but part of me wants to kind of encourage you to sort of just rip off the Band-Aid and just stop. Not because you can never do it again, but because it's so much better to feel free to do it or not do it, and not
Mhm.
feel driven by a compulsion to have something sweet after dinner.
It makes sense. Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, if you grew up, I mean, how many of us just kind of like grew up in a situation where when we were at grandma's house or when we were at, or one of our parents liked to have sweet stuff. My mom loved to have ice cream with potato chips every night, kind of thing. So it was just like, it kind of gets like it's becomes a slippery slope because it's that happy family memory. It starts to kind of change. And so you kind of have to stay focused on the fact that, it's not, it is a comforting memory, but it's not necessarily something that's positive for you to reflect on while you're trying to release weight, I should say. And I know we're getting close to time for Stacy to need to run. I have one more question if you have time. Do we have one?
Cheryl, I think I still have plenty of time. I just have to
Okay.
go at the half-hour mark. Is
Okay.
when I have to drop. That's my drop dead time because I'm going to the dentist.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't keep you too long, and that you still had time to get where you needed to go to.
Yeah.
Trinity has a question. When someone has a restriction mindset and they feel like they can only lose weight by tracking everything they eat and drink, is there ever a way that they can overcome this?
Yeah, doing it. It requires trust. And what I would say, Trinity, is why not tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna fully trust Stacy and Kathy and Cheryl and everyone else who has said that you can really freely eat when you're hungry and stop when you're comfortably full, as long as you're choosing from fruits, vegetables, and water-rich cooked starches, and you will naturally lose weight. Like, all of those are big, exciting, and also nerve-wracking claims, because you recognize that if you do trust and it doesn't work for you, that'll be a huge bummer. But let's talk about this. What if you did it for 3 weeks? What if you just leaned in and said, hey, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to track. I'm not going to weigh and measure. I am going to get so in touch with my own body's hunger and fullness cues. I'm going to listen and pay close attention to my own body for 3 weeks and go off of that. And is it always going to be perfect? No. Sometimes you're going to overshoot it and eat too much. Sometimes you're going to undershoot it and eat too little. Big deal. It's not a deal breaker. If you overeat, all that's going to do is prolong how long it is until your next meal. That is not a big deal. If you undereat, then you're going to have the experience that someone shared earlier where an hour later they're hungry again. Big deal. Go eat again. And if you're going out, you're not at home around your food at all times, just make sure you always have way more than you think you need when you go out for the day. You pack your lunch or whatever. So just try it. You only will know for sure if you run the experiment on yourself and see if you see changes when you trust the process.
Exactly.
That's another reason that it's very good to have a support specialist. Cheryl, how many times have I had to talk you and Kathy off the ledge about this exact same thing?
So much.
Like, it's okay. Trust. It's okay if you eat 4 potatoes instead of 3. It's okay if you eat, especially with diabetes,
Yeah, we will go okay. We will go okay for like a month, right? We'll be just fine. And we'll be like, we got this. We're in control. And then like one day, one of us, and our bodies are different on a daily basis, right? I mean, you have to take that in consideration too. And then one day, one of us will just like have an extra potato or something and be like, oh, I feel really, really, really full. And then start questioning whether this whole time we've been eating too many potatoes, right? And it's just, I think it's human nature to like get to that point, right? It's just crazy. Like your brain, like you'll be like, I got this, I'm doing it. And then all of a sudden, just like one day your brain just sneaks back there and goes, you ate too much. You ate too much.
Yes. Yep.
Trinity also says, and I've never heard of this, I've just recently became allergic to bananas. Have you ever heard of this happening? It's not extreme. It's just oral symptoms. I've never heard of anyone allergic to bananas.
Yeah, I know one guy, actually, like a person I know personally who's allergic to bananas. Yeah, he gets migraines from them. So, don't eat bananas, babe. That's all I got for you. Don't eat them. If they're causing you problems, don't eat them. Some people have that, the inside of your mouth can get all weird with different types of enzymes. And so things like pineapple, I hear it a lot, or tomato, things that are a little bit more acidic, though you wouldn't necessarily put bananas in that category. But if for whatever reason your body isn't happy with bananas, just stay away.
I've actually had bananas give me heartburn before, so I can kind of understand that kind of. Lissa says, gosh, I love hearing your discussion, Cheryl and Stacy. I am on day 72 of being 100% compliant. It's not my first rodeo. I'm back up on the horse, feeling great, but adjusting my insulin is challenging. And yes, you're constantly like having to tweak things because your body just starts getting in the groove, right? And then you don't need as much. So and then you have to play with it a little bit. And it is kind of a little frustrating on that. And Tanya says, I now honor my hunger cues. Some days I'm a bottomless pit and other days I'm not really as hungry. I just go with it. I'd like to lose some weight, but I don't want to get in a bad diet mindset.
Great.
That's great.
Yeah. Focus on the journey, focus on the process and just doing it every day.
And Vi says, that makes perfect sense. You described me perfectly, and I know what I need to do. And that was about the ice cream stuff.
Great.
SFOS says, this has been a terrific discussion today. Many thanks to Cheryl and Stacy. And I have to confess something to you, Stacy.
Oh no.
I want to tell you before you hear it from somebody else. I have been making up this individual called Tracy that is a combination of you and Tiffany that we have decided is like a superhero that is a combination of both of you, right? So we have this made up person that we call Tracy. What would Tracy do? Right?
That's great.
And I actually did it online one night. I kept saying, Tiffany, Tracy, Stacy, and then I kept saying Tracy, and then finally we were all just like, yeah, this is like the superhero combination of you and Tiffany together would be Tracy. So everybody shoot to be Tracy, right?
Well, come through the program if you haven't already, and you will get the superhero 1-2 punch of Stacy and Tiffany every day.
Right.
For the rest of your life.
Exactly. And Tanya says, I never used to nighttime snack, but with my husband and kids snacking, it sometimes gets me. Most of the time it's fruit, but sometimes I'll have the salty, crunchy snacks. I need to stop. LOL. Yeah, crunchy snacks get me too. Like, I don't know what it is about a crunchy snack that just like, and so now kind of like crunchy apples kind of can do it a little bit. If it's something that has that crunch. Carrot sticks sometimes can do it because they've got that crunch. And it's funny because sometimes you want the salt, right? And then sometimes you really just want that crunch.
Yeah, I can identify with that. Toast. Have some
Yeah,
toast with
toast.
some hummus on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Brandy says, fruits and veggies don't make you gain weight. It's the stuff you add to it, like fatty sauces and toppings. And yeah.
Can I comment on that?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so she's right in the sense that fruits and vegetables are way too low in calorie density to actually put weight on you. They're not going to, which is why we eat relatively freely from fruits and vegetables. With a caveat. One, when you blend them, you unnaturally break them down. So a blender or a food processor or a cremini or whatever the different machines are do part of the process of digestion for you. And so what happens is you would never eat 5 bananas in one sitting, but suddenly you blend them up and it's totally possible. And so you can end up inadvertently over consuming calories. Yes, even in the form of fruit primarily. You can obviously do the same thing with veggies, but you're only going to have so much, kale and carrot before you're like, no, thank you. But fruit is so palatable. It's so enjoyable for so many of us. It is easy to consume too much fruit, too many calories in the form of fruit when we process them in a blender or a food processor. So that's one piece of it. The other thing is, let's talk about nighttime real quick. So nighttime is often where, you have your dinner and then a lot of people come, they're feeling a little niggly and they come into the kitchen and they're looking for, like you said, salty or whatever, but also the sweet. And so if you create a pattern, a ritual of making these nice creams or even a smoothie or something like that after dinner, like I said earlier, oftentimes that's a behavior or a pattern or a habit, and it's not out of hunger usually. Or even if it is out of hunger, you might be better served to choose something different. So something like more oatmeal or potatoes or something like that, just because the sweetness in fruit can be a little bit, it can draw us into accidentally eating too much of that thing. So, and then also you don't need a lot of calories before you go to bed for the night and go to sleep. And so a lot of people who snack at night or do desserts, even healthy ones, they will find that their weight loss slows or stops because they're having additional calories in the evening right before bed that they just really don't need to have. So, but on the subject, back to the subject of fruits and vegetables not causing you to gain weight. The other thing I see that I really want everyone to hear is that some people, they hear that fruits and vegetables are weight loss friendly, like eating them will help you lose weight faster or more efficiently. And so they're like, well, then I will eat all the fruits and vegetables. I will eat outrageously huge salads or tons and tons and tons of fruit. When I'm hungry, I'll eat those instead of starches because they're so low in calorie density, I'll lose weight faster. But oftentimes, especially if you're not eating at least half of your food in the form of starches, half by visual volume in the form of starches, you can actually end up over consuming calories by eating outrageous amounts of fruits and vegetables, which do have calories. And then because you never get full off of those things and you end up going back for the starch anyway, you end up over consuming calories. So even over consuming fruits and vegetables can cause you to erase your calorie deficit for the day. I know it's kind of like confusing, especially with how many people there are on the internet that want to talk about how they ate these enormous salads every day in order to lose their weight, or they just ate, all these apples or whatever. It's confusing because some people say that and that's their message. But just as many people who have success doing that, I see the flip side of people who are like, I don't understand. All I eat is fruits and vegetables. Well, it's not all you eat, because you would never get full and you would literally waste away and wither away. So you're still eating the starches, but you're also eating unnecessary and unreasonable amounts of fruits and vegetables, which all still contain calories.
And that really makes sense too, because, sometimes I stay up really super late and then I start feeling snacky and I start grabbing pieces of fruit and I start like looking around, what can I eat? Because I'm starting to feel hungry. And I always kind of get mad at myself because I'm like, oh, why are you eating? You already had dinner. But then when you think about it, I had dinner 6 hours ago. And my body's going, hello, we're still awake. We need some energy, right?
That's
so
right.
From what you're saying, maybe I should try, instead of eating all the snacky fruit stuff, maybe I should just try to have a bowl of oatmeal when that happens and see what happens, right?
Yes, absolutely. I tell people, hey, let yourself have a water-rich cooked starch. The best ones that are lowest in calorie density for weight loss are potatoes and oatmeal. And I say, if you're truly physiologically hungry after dinner, let yourself have potatoes or oatmeal, but just plain. It's not time to start sprinkling your brown sugar and caramelizing your apples and, sprinkling
Right.
the cinnamon. Only not because you can't eat those things. That's fine, but because those things may cause you to inadvertently overeat calories that you don't actually need just because they taste good, right? Whereas if you're doing just plain potatoes or plain oatmeal, you really are just filling your stomach. And then once it's full, you're done.
Right.
There was something else that you just said that really triggered something for me. You were talking about, I got it. Guys, do not miss this weight loss tool that is so underestimated in its power and its effectiveness. And that is this: going to bed.
Yes.
Just go to bed. If
Right.
you are finding that you eat dinner at 6:00 and then you stay up till midnight and you're hungry all over again, of course you are. You've been up for 6 additional hours.
Right.
You need to back up your bedtime for a whole host of reasons. But not insignificant is the reason that if you go to bed earlier, you are less likely to overconsume calories. Just go to bed. That is a powerful, powerful weight loss strategy, to back up your bedtime and get to bed earlier.
And that's a goal that I've actually been working on. It's one of my goals for this week, is to back my bedtime down. So now it will even be more ingrained in my head, because now every time I think, should I go to bed, I'm going to hear your voice going, just go to bed.
Go to bed. Yes, please, everyone, just go to bed. I'll be your mom on your shoulder. Stacy told me to go to bed.
So here, and Elizabeth Markowitz is here. And she says, hi, Stacy and Cheryl. For those of you who have not done the McDougall program or are on the fence, I just did it in July, and Stacy saved my life. She's exactly what I needed to overcome this battle. Yes, and she saved my life too, and Kathy's too. And yes, and Elizabeth, I just want to say to you, I am so incredibly proud of you and for everything that you've been doing and just sticking to it. And you're my hero. I love it.
Yeah, she's awesome. All of you guys are, and you all can do it. I'm sure if Elizabeth was like live with us right now, she would tell you, if I can do it, you can do it. And it's
exactly
true. We're all just regular people. I am a regular person that just, thank goodness, found out this way of life and way of eating and had my own experience. And so is Cheryl, and so is Kathy. And you can do it, guys. And we're here to support you.
All right, I'm just checking out. Let's make sure. Okay, and just real quick, something else here. Vi says, Stacy, is it white or sweet potatoes that would be best for weight loss? And Stacy's answer is always any
Doesn't matter,
potato.
whichever one you like. Yep. Which one will you eat? Which one do you enjoy?
Yep,
Or both?
exactly.
Both. I do both every day. Sweet potatoes and white potatoes every day for me.
Just like we're getting ready to wrap up here, but I have to, this is just hilarious because, I do this. And Tanya says, but Cheryl keeps me up on Monday nights. I have a show that I've been doing that starts at 9 o'clock, right?
Oh,
and
there you go.
It's been going to like 11 or so. So anybody on the East Coast has kind of been staying up a little late to hang out with me on Monday nights. So
Cheryl, you got to start earlier, girl. That
I
won't
know.
work at all.
I know. We're trying to work it out, and we had quite a few people from across the pond and stuff that like to join in, and that's a good time for them. So, and it's a good time for Chef Yin to be with us and stuff. So, we're kind of balancing that out. But I'm wondering if maybe we can't just knock it back an hour and everybody still kind of get that same kind of stuff. And Christina says, Cheryl, you saw me. I did have a bagel and cream cheese for breakfast this morning.
That's okay. That's all right.
And Elizabeth says, yes, we can all do this, but it was something about Stacy's help that made this click like never before. And kind of for me too. Like she really clicked for me too in a way that I can't explain. It's
so glad.
Yeah. And Elizabeth says, LOL, I fell asleep to Cheryl's voice last night.
There are worse things.
Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, it's oh, and Mirren says it's currently 3:30 a.m. where she is at.
Oh, Mirren, thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
My goodness. When are you going to sleep? 3:30 a.m. Gosh.
And Tanya says, I'm normally in bed by 10, except Mondays.
Oh my gosh.
She's in the same time zone as me. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'll try to back it up a bit, you guys, so that everybody can get a little bit more sleep, right? All right. So it looks like I am down to the end of the list. I'm not seeing any more questions, and we need to get Stacy out of here for her dentist appointment. And Stacy, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad that you're here. We can't wait to have you back. And with all of that, everybody just have an amazing week, and we will see you real soon. Bye, everyone.